Namo Buddhaya. If there is one simple word that we all struggle to say, and that is no. N-O, no. Two simple letters, one simple word, but saying no can be the most hardest thing in life to do. Why we struggle to say no? The reason why we struggle to say no is because we have gotten used to say yes to many unimportant things in life. Okay? When we say yes to unimportant things in life, what happens to us? We miss the chance and we miss the time to say yes to the important things in life and to the things that really matters to us. Okay? And that is why we need to learn how to say no to unimportant things and how to say yes and how to be more focused on saying yes to the important things in life. Okay? So the reason why I'm doing this video is because a couple of days ago, I came across this word. When I was chanting, I came across this word in Karaniya Metta Sutta. The Buddha says, appakicho, do less. If you practice the Buddha's teachings, if you practice the spiritual path, or in any area of your life, you have to do less. Do not do more. Now, the society says the quite opposite thing to us. The society says that do more. The more you do, the more you achieve. Do many things as much as you can, then you will achieve. But turns out doing more will not help us to be more productive. Okay? To be more productive in what we are doing. To be more productive what really matters to in life. So that is why we have to master to say no to certain things in life. And really be focused on what really matters to us. So from this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 tips that will help you to say no to unimportant things in life and to say yes and to be more focused on what really matters to you. Before learning how to say no to unimportant things in life, we have to understand why we say yes to unimportant things in life. The reason why we say yes to unimportant things is because of fear most of the time. Sometimes it is because of the fear of missing out. Sometimes it is the fear of letting someone down. Sometimes it is the fear of the only one to say no. Okay? Sometimes it is the fear of making the wrong decision. So that is why we say yes to unimportant things in life. And sometimes we say yes not only to the people, but also for the things in life. Okay? For an example, let's say you're studying. While you're studying, you have the mobile phone beside you. Okay? All of a sudden, you see a notification pops up on your phone. Now, you know that you're studying and you know that you have to be really focused on that. Okay? But you pick up the phone and you check what it is. Sometimes it is not necessary for you, but you check it and you say yes to that distraction. Let's say sometimes you plan to learn or to meditate in an evening. All of a sudden, you get a call from your friend and say that they ask for you to come with them to go shopping, maybe go to a party or to go to a walk. Because of fear of putting that person down or letting that someone down or to say no, we say yes to them. Okay? So when you say yes to them, sometimes we miss the chance and we miss that valuable time to be focused, to be more focused on what really matters to us. Okay? What really helps us to achieve our larger purpose in life. And that is why we have to learn how to say no correctly. So here are the few steps that you can help you to achieve that. The first step to saying no to unimportant things in life is to build a good self-awareness. Okay? You have to have a good understanding what really matters to you and why you say yes to certain things and why you say no to certain things. When you're aware of that, then you can easily say yes to important things in life and no to unimportant things in life. So before saying yes to something, just ask from yourself this question: why? Why am I saying yes to this? Okay, before saying yes to something or to a person, just figure out why you say yes to that person or why you say yes to that thing. Okay, before you say no to certain things, you have to figure out why you are saying no to certain things in life. For an example, let's say you need to check your mobile phone. Okay, your mind says to check your mobile phone. Before doing that, you have to ask from yourself, why? Why am I doing this? Why should I do this? When you ask from yourself that question, you become more aware of yourself. You become more aware of what you're doing. The Buddha says, before you do something or before you say something, just ask from yourself that, is it helpful for me? Is this thing that I'm going to do is helpful for me or helpful for others? Is it good for me? Is it good for others? When you ask from yourself that question, and if you come to the answer that, yes, this is really worthy of saying yes, this is really worthy of saying, this is really important to me, then do it. But if you come across the answer that, no, this doesn't really matters to me, okay, it is not important to my life, then by all means, do not do it, because it steals your time, the valuable time in your life. So the first step of saying no, learning how to say no to unimportant things in life, is to build a good self-awareness. The second step of learning to say no to unimportant things in life is to build a good self-discipline. And now this is the most hardest part, because it takes a lot of courage and grit to say no. And you need to be more disciplined to say no to unimportant things in life. Because sometimes the things that we say no, we have to say no to unimportant things in life, may be the most enjoyable things in life. Okay, let's say like we all like to enjoy in life, but sometimes those things that makes us enjoyable will not help us to be more productive. Okay, for an example, let's say you are going to study and you're planning to study, you're planning to meditate, but well, sometimes your friends ask you to come and join to a party. Okay, now you like to go to a party, but you know that the most important thing in your life is the learning process. That is what helps you to achieve more success. The most important thing in life is to build a good spiritual, a strong spiritual base in your life. So then it is very difficult to say no to those things, because we fancy in doing all those things. Okay, so that is where we need the self-discipline, to be disciplined and to say no. This is what really matters to me, and I have to do it. Then you have to say no to those people politely. You can explain why you are saying no. Okay, I heard this one quote saying that, learn to say no to people without explaining yourself. I would say learn to say no to people and explain why you're saying no to them. Then they can understand why you're saying no. Okay, so then they will respect your time and your values in your life. So that is why we have to learn to say no politely and correctly. The third step is to understand that your time is valuable. Time is the most valuable asset that we have in our hand. Okay, and our time on this earth is really limited. You don't have an infinite time on this earth. We have a finite time, and we have to use that limited time very well. So I would suggest, look at your time like you look at your money. Okay, so when you get money, you don't spend that money lavishly or to whichever the thing that you want. You don't put that money wherever you are. No, we become more serious, and you become more serious about your money. Same like that. Think about your time as you think about your money. Okay? Because money can be earned again, but the time cannot be earned again. You cannot take back the time. It is limited. And that is why in this limited time, you have to do the best thing that you can do. Okay? Be more serious when it comes to time. Don't waste it. Okay? It is the most valuable asset that we have. If you value time, if you respect your time, then you can say no to unimportant things, and then you can learn to say yes to what really matters in your life. Okay? So respect your time and also respect other people's time as well. And the next step is to ask this magic question. The magic question is it really necessary? Before you say something, before you do something, before you say yes to someone or something, ask, is it really necessary? Do I really have to do it? Okay? Sometimes because we say yes to unimportant things in life is because we don't know that we don't really need it. For an example, let's say you came back home after a tired day, okay? And you say yes to social media. And you scroll through and it steals maybe 1 or 2 hours of your valuable time. In that time, there is someone that is valuable that you can do. Maybe to talk with your kids, maybe talk with your parents, maybe talk with your children. Then you can be more engaging with them and do something valuable with them. Instead of hanging out in social media and wasting that valuable time, just we can do something valuable. Before doing that, we have to ask, is it really necessary? Do I really have to do it? Then you can decide what to say no and what to say yes. Okay? So keep that in your mind. And the final step is to figure out what is really important to you. What really matters to you. Now, the most of the time, the reason why we say yes to unimportant things in life is because we haven't figured out what really matters in life. Okay, what really matters to us. So that is why if you have a good understanding what is the larger purpose of your life, what really matters to you, what is really valuable in your life, you can be more focused on that and say no to other things in life that really never helps you to achieve the larger purpose in your life. So I would suggest take a quiet time in your day to figure out what really matters to me today. What should I do, and what is the most important thing that I should do today to achieve the larger purpose of my life? In that way, you will have a good understanding what really matters in your life and the things that don't really matter in your life. And be more focused in doing those things. Sometimes it is more enjoyable doing unimportant things in life. But although it is enjoyable, although it is hard to say no to all those distractions, we have to say no to them because those are the things that prevents us engaging and achieving the larger purpose in our life. So finally, these are the tips that you can practice to say no to unimportant things and to say no to distractions in your life and to be more focused on what really matters. So finally, saying no can be really hard. I know it is really hard, but in order to achieve a happy life and a calmer life and a more disciplined life, we have to say no, and we have to learn to say no to unimportant things in life. So practice these little tips and then you'll be happy in your life. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome everyone to another video. So today, let's talk about loneliness and how we can face this situation. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about 2 things. And the first one is the loneliness, and the second one is the solitude, which is more reframed version of being alone. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about loneliness. When we are around people, when we are living with people and when we are in relationships with people, normally we feel happy. We feel that we are content, right? And we feel this joyfulness within ourselves. But when they are not around us, or when they leave us, sometimes when we have to depart from them, normally we feel depressed, sad, or lonely, or we feel like no one cares about us. So this is the feeling of loneliness. If we analyze this emotion of loneliness, we can find that we have become happy because of the people around us, because of their reaction, because of their way of behavior. That was the reason that we became happy. Simply it means that we have given the key of our own happiness to other people. So when they leave our life, sometimes when they depart from ourselves, sometimes when they fade away from our life, what happens to us is we become unhappy, we become sad, we become depressed, and we feel like no one is caring for us. There is no one to help for me. That is what we are thinking. So how we can deal with this? Well, that is where we come to the topic of solitude. Supreme Buddha advised us, Supreme Buddha advised the monks to practice this practice of being solitude. So what do you mean by solitude? So first of all, let's compare the loneliness to the solitude. Then you can take some idea about that. In loneliness, when you're lonely, you're thinking for someone to come to your life and make you happy. That means you're depending on others. Your happiness depends on others. But in solitude, you try to find the happiness within yourself. When you find the happiness inside yourself, you don't want to depend on another person. You don't want to depend on second person. You can find your happiness within yourself. And that is what the practice of solitude gives us. So when you are being solitude, or simply when you are being alone, now there are the people talk about this like the loneliness and being alone is two different things, right? So when you're being alone or when you're being in solitude, you're happy. You're not finding the happiness from these outer sources. You find the happiness within yourself. So Buddha teaches us to look at this loneliness not as something to be sad, not as something negative. Buddha teaches us to look at this loneliness something that is beneficial for you, something that is positive. So how we can use this loneliness, or how we can reframe this loneliness to be positive? Well, if you think about whenever you are being alone, you have more time for yourself, right? You have a bigger freedom for yourself. You can think about yourself. You can reflect more about yourself, and you can practice meditations, or you can think about your health and do some practices about that. You can do some self-development techniques, so you can improve yourself. So when you use that time, when you use that loneliness for good things, then you become more positive about that. Then you will never feel these sad or depressing states. So let me tell you a little story how Buddha felt lonely at one time. Actually, this incident happened to the Buddha before he became enlightened. We call him the Bodhisattva. When he was Bodhisattva, he was practicing this self-mortification for 6 years. He gave lots of hardships to this body. He did some extreme meditations in the jungle. So there were 5 monks who were helping the Bodhisattva. So he practiced this self-mortification meditation for 6 years, and he mastered that. Finally, he came to the conclusion of that I cannot achieve this enlightenment by self-mortificating or by giving this extreme hardship to this body. So he decided to find this middle way. So what he did was, first of all, he took his bowl and he went to the village and he got some foods to eat. Because he thought that to do the meditations, I need to have this physical energy. But those 5 monks who were helping to Bodhisattva, who were expecting the enlightenment from the Bodhisattva through this self-mortification, was so confused because they saw that the Bodhisattva is having these foods. Then those 5 monks thought, like, now he's not going to achieve this enlightenment. The enlightenment can only be achieved by this self-mortification. So they never believed on the Bodhisattva. So what they did was, they left the Bodhisattva. Now our Maha Bodhisattva was all alone in the middle of the jungle. There was no one to help him. There was no one to care about him. No one knew about him. He was all alone. But he didn't think about that loneliness as something depressed or something negative. So he thought, now I have more time for myself. I can do my meditations freely. There was no one to think about me. So I must use this time for my self-development. That is what Maha Bodhisattva thought. So that is the way that we also should think about this loneliness. If you are feeling lonely, if you are having some kind of a loneliness situations in your life, use that time, use that valuable time to create a better life for yourself, because you have more time. You can do meditations. You can stick into a daily routine of the self-development. You can do meditations, you can do workouts, you can walk for some time, and you can be with this nature, read a book, or learn something new, practice meditations, do exercises. These things can be done when you are all alone. So, rather than feeling depressed about the situations that you are in, why can't we become more happy about the time that we are spending alone, right? So practice this, okay? So if people comes to your life, let them come. If people walks away from your life, let them walk away. But you have to be by yourself. You have to think about yourself. That is what you have to think, and that is what you have to do in this valuable time. So I think you got some idea about the loneliness and being in the solitude. So practice the solitude and make your life more better. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another Q&A video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the fear of failure and how to deal with it. Did you know that the majority of the people who fail in their life challenges fail because of this fear of failure? So we're going to find a solution and how to deal with it. First of all, we have to realize that failure is a part of life, right? It is with the life. It comes with the life. And fearing the failure, this fear that arises inside our mind, it's an emotion. So these are two different things. Let's talk about the failure. Failure, you cannot avoid it. It's a worldly condition. Our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, said there are 8 worldly conditions in this world. From time to time, you have to go through these 8 worldly conditions. So what are these 8 worldly conditions? Buddha explained: pleasure, pain, blame, praise, disrepute, fame, gain, loss. These things are
the 8 worldly conditions, right? So these things change time to time. From time to time, these things comes to our life, and we have to go through these things. So you cannot avoid the failure. Sometimes you get what you want. Sometimes you don't get what you want. So we have to find a way to deal with it. One thing that you have to realize is, when you fear the failure more and more, there will be more chances for you to fail. That is a law in this nature. That is a law for our mind, right? The more you fear, the more you fail. Keep that in your mind, right? So that means when you fear too much, you're running out of your plans. You're not thinking about your plans, and you're just sticking to that emotion of fear, and you're not going to take the risks, and you're not going to take that next step. So fearing the failure, this fear is the thing that holds you back from the success. Realize it. So what we can do with this fear when it comes to our mind? Of course, we can use our fear to our success. How? So if you are afraid of failure, then you can be well prepared, right? Then you have to think, oh, I'm afraid of failing, so I must come up with a plan, and I must work my plan. So in that way, you can use this emotion to your own success. And there's another thing. You have to learn how to keep your expectations moderate. Not too high, not too low, but in the middle way, in the moderate state. How do we keep it? Do not think of yourself that I'm going to be the perfect in this world. I'm going to be the best in this world. Of course you can be the best, but not for a long time. It is also impermanent. And also, don't think about yourself like, I'm not good enough, I cannot do it, I'm not going to make it. Don't think about yourself negatively. Instead, keep your expectations moderate. How? I will do my best. If you are facing an exam, all right, if you are fearing about it, you have to think, I will do my best. Right? I'm not going to be the best, but I can do my best. I can become the best version of myself, right? That is why I am trying for this. You have to think about that again and again. When you think about that, you're trying to give the best of yourself. You're trying to come up with a better plan, and you're trying to work that plan. When you keep your expectations too high, you have to set and make some unrealistic plans, right, which are not going to work. When you keep your expectations very low, you're not going to come up with a plan actually, because you're thinking lowly about yourself, right? So keep your expectations in moderate way. Then you will feel less fear. And I must say, every one of us feel this fear. It's a common mental condition, right? And also, every one of us fail. It's also a common worldly condition. Do you think the Buddha didn't fail? Before he becomes the Buddha, when he was the Bodhisattva, he failed many times, right? He spent 6 years of time trying to find this Buddhahood, right? Trying to find this enlightenment. But finally he failed, right? He tried many things like self-mortification, these harsh meditations. But finally he realized that I cannot achieve this enlightenment through these hardships. Then he thought, now I must change my plan. I must change the way I am doing That is what Buddha taught. But he did not give up his dream. He did not give up his goal. Instead, he changed the plan. So you can change your plan. You can change the way you are doing, right? But do not give up your dream. You will fail, you will fall, you will have to suffer in this life. That is the life, but do not give up the dream. Right? If you're a student, if you're having the life challenges, never give up. Change the way you're doing. It's okay, you can do that, right? So that is what you have to do. And the final thing that I have to say is, do not be afraid to fail. Because failure teaches us many things, many lessons. It teaches us what not to do. It teaches us how to be patient. It teaches us you're a human and you will fail. It teaches us how to be humble. There are many lessons that we can learn from failure. But when you win all the time, if there is the victory all the time in your life, you will never learn many things. Instead, it will feed your ego. So, keep it in your mind. Do not be afraid to fail, but be afraid to not to try. So keep these things in your mind and practice and be happy in your life. Namo Buddhaya.
To be happy is every living being's right in this world. Everything that we do, everything that we say, why we are doing them, we do that to be happy. Just ask from yourself, why am I doing what am I doing? You can answer to yourself. You will find that the reason why I do everything in life to make myself happy. If I ask from you, why do you wake up early in the morning and just prepare some food and go out to work? To make yourself happy and to make others happy, isn't it? Yes. You gain happiness by making others happy as well. That you have to remember, right? So there are two types of happinesses in this world. The first type of happiness is called the material happiness, right? And also the other type of happiness is called the spiritual happiness. To call it a good life, to call it a perfect life, one must achieve these two types of happinesses in his life. One must experience both of these happinesses in their life, right? So from this video, I would like to share a wonderful teaching from the Buddha that explains about what are the types of happinesses that a person who is living in a household life, a family life, must achieve. Now, according to Buddhism, there are two types of lives. The first type of life is called the household life. That means the people who are living in a family life, right? Maintaining a family, living in a house, engaging in material pleasures and all the stuff, right? A household life. That means you, right? And also, there is this other type of life. It is called the monk's life, right? Which we can call them the homelessness life. That means we leave our houses, we leave our families and become monks, right? So that we no longer own a house. We no longer own a family. We no longer maintain a family, right? So the ones who renunciate the household life, the ones who leave the household life, they seek a higher kind of happiness, right? That doesn't mean that they don't seek any kind of happiness. We as monks, why we become monks is to seek the spiritual happiness. Now, when you become a monk, it doesn't mean you totally deny seeking the material happiness, right? But for a monk, there must be a limit for seeking the material happiness, because as living beings, we can't totally deny seeking material pleasure. As living beings, we must consume some sort of material pleasures in this world. But that seeking, that consumption of material pleasure must not disturb the peace and the spiritual happiness that a monk is seeking, right? So for monks, there are limitations for material happiness, okay? But it is less of the material happiness and more of the spiritual happiness. So In this teaching of the Buddha focuses on household life. A household, a person who is living a family life. To call that life a perfect life, a good life, the Buddha says that there are 4 types of happinesses that a householder must achieve in their life, right? The first type of happiness, the Buddha called it Ati Sukha. What is it? Ati Sukha. Ati Sukha can be translated into English as the happiness of ownership. Now, what do you mean by the happiness of ownership? Buddha explains the happiness of ownership as one must work hard, put his time and energy and strive and earn money righteously in the correct way, right? He must earn money, he must earn wealth in the righteous way. Now, what do you mean by in the righteous way? Is by you should earn money without harming anyone, without harming yourself and without harming the other people, without harming the society, right? If you earn money without harming anyone, that is the righteous way of earning money. Now, Buddha said, as a householder, you must be happy and you must enjoy earning money, right? Buddha was someone who did not say that you should not pursue happiness. You should not pursue material happiness. The Buddha said, if you are a householder, you must do that. That is your duty, right? So, the Buddha said, strive hard, work hard, put your time and energy to what you're working on, and earn money righteously. That is a happiness that you can gain, right? When you have enough money to your life, then you can be happy about thinking that I own this wealth. This is my wealth. That is sort of a happiness that one can gain, right? That is the first type of happiness that Buddha said a householder must achieve in their life at some point in their life, right? That is the first one. The second type of happiness that Buddha taught for householders to achieve is called Bhoga Sukha. The Bhoga Sukha can be translated into English as the happiness of enjoyment. Now, first you earn money, right? Now you spend money and enjoy it in the correct way, right? The Buddha says that you have to spend money in a way that you should not harm yourself and you should not harm the other people as well, in the righteous way, right? So that when you spend money doing good things like helping people, helping your parents, with your money, with the money that you righteously earned, and when you spend that money on the people who you love, right, to make them happy, it gives you a happiness, right? It is a great happiness that one can achieve. That you have to achieve in your life. Okay, so the second type of happiness the Buddha taught to achieve is called the Bhoga Sukha, the happiness of enjoyment. The third type of happiness that Buddha taught us to enjoy in the life is called the happiness of freedom from debt. That we called Anana Sukha. Anana Sukha is the happiness of freedom from debt. Now, when you are free from debt, let's say you don't have any loans or any debt to pay, right? You're financially free. Then how much freedom that one can feel, right? You feel freedom, you feel a happiness that I'm no longer in debt to anything, right? I don't have any loans to pay, I don't have any debt to pay, so I'm financially free. That is a happiness that a householder must achieve in their life, right? That is a great happiness that one must achieve. The freedom, financial freedom, right? This is the third type of happiness. And then the fourth type of happiness, this is the most important thing. This is the most valuable happiness that a householder must achieve in their life, according to the Buddha. Buddha said, the fourth type of happiness is called Anavajja Sukha. Anavajja Sukha means the happiness from blameless life. Now, what do you mean by a blameless life? The Buddha says that you have to do things, you have to say things, you have to live your life in a way that you do everything with a good heart, with a good mind, with a wholesome heart, right? When you spend your life as a good-hearted person, as a good person, as a wholesome-hearted person, right? It gives you a bigger happiness, bigger enjoyment, thinking about who you are. That is the most important thing, because all the other material happinesses, right? All the other three material happinesses, it can give you happiness, right? I don't say that it cannot give you happiness, but if you did not have this happiness, anavajjasukha, if your heart is complaining who you are, what you do, right? If your heart is regretting about who you are, then the other things doesn't matter, right? What matters the most is how you live in this life, right? At the end of our life, the most important thing that we can be happy about is how we live this life, how much love we gave to other people, right? How much we helped to other people, how righteously and how correctly we lived our life. So the Buddha said, you must achieve this happiness as well, right? So these are the 4 happinesses that a householder, one who is living in a family life, spending a family life, must achieve. So I hope this video and this teaching from the Buddha gave you a little light to your life. So I wish you all, may all of you be able to achieve all of these happinesses in this very life.
Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Now I need to ask a question from you. When was the last time you had a sound sleep and after you wake up, you felt so good? I think most of the time we don't get a good sleep, and that is why we are feeling tired after a good sleep even. So today we're going to talk about how to wake up in the morning without feeling tired. Now remember, the quality of your wake up is highly dependent on how you sleep, the quality of your sleep. So first of all, let's talk about how to have a better sleep. Our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, taught us that if you can practice the love and the kindness throughout your life, in your heart, practically, you will sleep better. Right? So it says that it is so important to maintain a kind and a calm and a peaceful heart to have a better sleep. So your sleep is highly affected by several things. It depends on what you do during the day, and it depends on how you approach the bed, your sleeping posture, and also it depends on what you do after you wake up. So we are going to talk about these things. So let's talk about how the things happen during the day affects our sleep. Now if you spend most of the time in the day by being angry with people, by being jealous of others, by fighting with others and being sad and frustrated, then your mentality is not in a good condition. And then when you go to the bed, you will never have a peaceful sleep because your mind and your body is not ready for that and it hasn't become peaceful. So it is so important to maintain a peaceful and a calm mind during the day. Right? Of course, we cannot control the situations that we face during the day. We cannot control people complaining us, criticizing us, bullying us. We cannot control these things, but we can control our response to them. Right? So we, by our own self, make the choice to be angry, to be jealous, to be frustrated, to blame. So, what you have to do, you need to maintain and you need to try as much as possible to be kind and to be friendly with people, right? To help others, to do the good things, which makes you happy within. So if you can maintain a peaceful heart and peaceful mind during the day, even in the middle of the adversities and the problems, then no one can control and no one can destroy your peacefulness. So when you approach the bed and when you go to the sleep, you're going with a kind and a peaceful heart. So your sleep quality will be increased. And also the sleep is highly dependent on how you approach the bed. Right? So in brief, I must say, approach the bed with a clean body and a clean mind. Right? So how we approach the bed with a clean body? Refresh your body before you are going to sleep. Don't go to sleep with dust-filled bodies and sweat-filled bodies. Right? You can have a little bit of a shower. If it was a cold shower, it is much better. But if you cannot have a cold shower, if you are not in a condition of having a cold shower, then have a lukewarm shower. Right? Then you go to the bed. And when you go to the bed, it is much more important to clean your mind. So how to do that? And that's where the meditation comes in. Right? You can bring in a meditation before you sleep. So it is so easy to practice a session or 5-minute session of loving kindness meditation. Right? You can spread the love and kindness towards yourself first, and you can spread the same love and kindness to your family members, to your neighbors, to your people around your village, maybe the people in your town, and you can spread the love and kindness to the whole world. When you spread the thoughts and when you generate these thoughts within your mind gets so peaceful and it will become so serene. So bring in a loving kindness meditation before you sleep, right? And then you can go to the sleep with a clean body and a clean mind. And also, the quality of your sleep is highly dependent on your sleeping posture, right? Most of the people, they sleep on their stomach. They sleep facing down. But that is not a good posture to sleep. Our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, can sleep to the right side, and that posture is called Singhasaya, the lion's posture, which was used by our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, throughout his whole life. So if you can try that posture, that is one of the best postures to sleep. And also you can sleep to the left side, right? So these postures will increase your quality of the sleep, right? So these things affects your sleep in many ways, and it makes a huge impact. And then let's talk about what we should do after we wake up. Now, I need to share with you some tips which you can practice soon after you wake up, right? So first of all, do not do this. Do not hit the snooze button. Now, many of you hit the snooze button and you go back to the sleep. Remember, when you hit the snooze button and when you go to the sleep again, that sleep is not a perfect sleep, right? And that is why you're feeling tired after you wake up. So what you have to do, don't hit the snooze button. Wake up and get down from the bed soon after you wake up, right? So you can keep your alarm clock, maybe your mobile phone, you can set the alarm and you can keep that thing across your room in a distance where you should walk to the alarm clock and stop it. So it will help you to get down from the bed. So that is one tip. And the next one is drink some water soon after you wake up. You can keep a glass of water near your alarm clock. Then you can stop the alarm and have a drink of water, right? And then it's better to have a little bit of a shower in the morning. If it is a cold shower, it is much better. But if you cannot have a cold shower, then go for a lukewarm shower and you will feel so refreshed in the morning. And after that, do some exercises, have some stretches on your body, then you're good to go, right? So these things, if you can do these things soon after you wake up, it will keep up the refreshness that you feel in the morning throughout the day. So that is how we have a peaceful wake up early in the morning and feel refreshed. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy, and may all of you live long, and may all of you realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Namo Buddhaya, Theruvan Saranai. I know it is very difficult to forget the past memories. I know it is very difficult to forgive yourself for the things that you have done in the past. But at the end of our life, at the end of our day, what we all need is nothing but just the peace in our mind. But in order to find that peace, we need to let go of that past memory, let go of that things that hurt us. But how? Is there a way to find that peacefulness within our mind? Well, let's discuss about it in this video. If you look at the past memories, I heard this nice quote about the past memories. It says, thinking about and worrying about past is like dragging a boat on a dry land. Okay? Now, where we can use the boat, we can use it on water. But if you try to drag that boat onto dry land and take it with you to wherever you go, what will happen to you? It will become a burden to you. It will hurt you. It is so heavy. And there is no use in the same place, right? You cannot use the boat on the dry land. Okay? Holding on to past memories is also like that, right? There is no use of it, right? We are not letting that past memory to be in the correct place. We're taking it to wherever we go and every place that we go, and it will keep hurting us. So what we can do to forgive ourselves and let go of that past memory? Well, there are certain things that you can do. One of the most important things that you have to realize in this world is that not everything in this world is totally under our control. There are people around you, okay? There are things around you. There are certain things that is happening around you, but not everything, not every one of them is totally under your control, okay? We have to deal with it, but it is out of our control. How people treat you, you cannot do anything about it. How people think about you, you have no control over it. How people talk to you, how people behave in front of you, the things that is happening in this environment, in the nature, there are things that is out of our control, okay? If we try and if you realize that this is the truth, okay, I cannot do anything about it, should I worry about them? Then you come to the conclusion that I don't want to worry about it because it is out of my range. Okay? So this is one reality that you have to understand. The world is not totally under your control. Why? Because we are so busy in our life trying to control the things that are around ourselves that are out of our control. Okay? So realize that not everything is under your control. And the next thing that you have to do is, this might surprise you. Now, a lot of people are trying to forget the past memory. Okay? I would say, don't try to forget past memories. Okay? Don't try to do it. What will happen if you try to do it? The more you try to forget something, the more it will haunt your mind. Isn't that true?
Just do it practically, right? Try to forget something, it will come back to your mind. Okay? I would say, rather than trying to forget the past memory, I would say, let it fade away from your life. Okay? Let it fade away. How to do it? Fading away is happening with time. Okay? It takes time. It's something like healing a wound. Okay? To heal a wound, it takes time. Okay? So what we have to do is, we have to give less attention to that memory. Okay? Now, most of the time, what happens in us is, when past memories haunt us, we give so much attention to it. We give so much awareness to it and think like, this is the biggest tragedy in my life. This is the biggest mistake that I have done in my life. Now my life is worse. Okay? The more we give attention to something, it will grow. That is the nature of the mind. The Buddha said, the more you give attention to something, these kind of thoughts come again and again to your mind. So what we have to do is give less attention to it. But how? Okay? Now, so many of you say it is very easy for you to say that give less attention to it. But it is very difficult. I know, it is very difficult. But there's one thing that we can do. We can identify that thought as a thought. Okay? Let's say these past memories, they are always the thoughts inside our mind. Okay? And also there are certain good memories and happy memories. All of them are just thoughts. Okay? The only difference between these hurtful memories, past memories, and the good memories is the way we look at that thought. Okay? The perspective towards that thought. If we can identify, this is just a thought, there's no difference. Okay? It will come to our mind and this will fade away and this will pass away with the time. So I must give some time to my mind to let my mind heal. When you do that, the past memories will start to fade away little by little. Why? Because you are giving less attention to it. Okay? Then there will be a day that comes, then you come to a conclusion and you will realize that these past memories are no longer hurting you. Okay? In my life, I had bad memories. Okay? The reason why I'm telling this is because I've been in the same situation as you guys. Okay? There was so many past bad memories and mistakes that I have done in the past, but when we give less attention to that, it will fade away. Okay? Then you will be okay with those past memories. So that is what I have to share with you in this video. So just let your past memories fade away from your life. Learn from your past, learn from your tears, and let your tears water the seeds of your future success. Keep that in your mind. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Today we are going to talk about how to deal with past memories. They are the memories that are holding us back and destroying our present moment and our future. So how can we deal with these past memories? First of all, I will tell you a nice story. In the Buddhist time, there was a murderer. Now, he wasn't just a murderer, he was a serial killer. He killed thousands and thousands of people. And do you know what he did to those dead people? He cut a finger from each one of them and he made a garland out of that fingers. And he wore that garland around his neck. So his name was Angulimala, the person who wears the garland of fingers. With the help of the great Supreme Buddha, he became an innocent person again. Before becoming a serial killer, he was just an innocent boy. But with the bad companionship, he became a serial killer. So with the Buddha's help,
He became an innocent person again, and he became a monk. After that, he realized the teachings of the Buddha and he became enlightened. The reason for his enlightenment was he did not let his past to define who he is, right? He did not regret about what he has done in the past. Instead, he focused on the present moment. The Buddha advised Angulimala, after becoming a monk, think of yourself as a newly born person, a new person, and do not let your past to define who you are. So he did meditations and he practiced the path of the Buddha and he became enlightened. So that was the little story. So what we can take from this little story? If you're holding onto the past and if you're letting your past to define who you are, right, you will never be the person that who you want to be. So remember, mistakes can happen by anyone. We make mistakes. That is why we are known as humans. Okay? So mistakes can happen. Even the good people make mistakes. That doesn't mean that they need to suffer and they need to regret about the things for the whole life. Right? We make mistakes, and what we have to do, we have to focus on the present moment. Think of yourself, now I have done a mistake in the past, but now what should I do to become a good person? When you think of that, you're focusing on the present moment. That is what you have to do. Every time you're regretting about the past memories, the things that has happened in the past, you are touching the wound of yourself. You know, the miserable moments that has happened in the past is like a wound. It takes time to heal. So if you keep on touching into that wound, it will never be healed. So what you have to do? Should you forget the past? Of course not. You should not forget the past, and you cannot forget the past. Remember, the more you try to forget the past, the more it will haunt your memories again and again. So what you have to do? You have to let your miserable and painful past memories to just fade away from your life, right? So to do that, you should not give much attention to the past miserable, painful memories, right? When we are not giving any attention to something, chances are very high for it to fade away from our memories. So what you have to do, just do not give any attention to those past memories, okay? And that is why our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us in Karaniya Metta Sutta, Atitang nanva gameya nappati kanke anagatang. Do not dwell on the past. Nappati kanke anagatang. Do not dream too much on the future. Yadati tang pahinatang apattancha anagatang. The past has gone now. It is over. And the future hasn't yet come. And Buddha said, Paccupannancha yo dhammang tattha tattha vipassati. You have to focus on the present moment and do what is right here, right now. So do not let the past to define who you are, and focus on the present moment and think, what can I do to become a better person now? Admit your faults. Learn from your past. Do not make it a wound and a painful situation. Just learn from it, right? And then you can think, what should I do to become a better person right here, right now? Right? When you do the good things and when you do the right thing in the present moment, your past will be a good one and your future will be also a good one. So what you have to do, you only own this present moment. Always keep it in your mind, right? The moment that you only on is this moment, right? In the past, what has happened in the past, you cannot control it. What is going to happen in the future, you have no control about that. What you have in your hand is this present moment. So focus on the present moment, do the good things, be a good person, and your future will be a better one, your past will be a better one also. So practice the Buddha's teachings and stay in the present moment. Namo Buddhaya.